What's up, family? Peace, light, and love. Thank you for connecting with me this week. This is the Sirius CYPHER. I'm Shakesha, and we are definitely in the house. I got another priestess on deck thus far, and we will be definitely doing the damn thing tonight. So I wanted to talk about this energy that we are experiencing today. I've been getting a lot more than typical done this week. I haven't really been filling up. I was just telling Priestess Kevina that, I just really ain't been feeling too much up to nothing. I just been doing like the bare minimum and shit. But today was a little bit different where I was able to, extend myself just a little bit more. And I can attribute that to this Capricorn moon that's out here in the house. And still, I want to give a shout out, even though we hitting on the tail end of Pisces season. And Pisces, in my humble opinion, is definitely that creative energy. And it being that number 3 energy, which is all about creative expression and sensitivity and ambition and all of that shit. And it just really speaks to me about, the energy, the direction that we need to be in for the month. And then the day is being the 16th, which is a day for us to really be aware because 1 and 6 is 7, just like the year of 2023, which is that year of consciousness and spirituality and everything. But today, it being the 16th, is also in alignment. I like to look at the tarot system and link that shit up too, because those energies are so connected. It's so on time. And for me, it has really been enlightening and really helpful on my journey. And so today, it being 16, which is in correspondence with the Tower card, and this is all about sudden change, and a lot of people see that as like shit going wrong, you know what I'm saying? Mishaps and all of this other type of shit, upheaval, but I also look at it as, fuck around, hit the lottery in these streets, you know what I'm saying? So Tower energy is just, getting the hell shocked up out of you. You know what I'm saying? Waking up out of complacency. A lot of times, it'll be shit we already knew about. We saw it coming. We ignored the signs. We ignored the symbols. And some things were just like out of the blue and random. Like hitting the lottery. Wouldn't that be the shit, man, if I hit the lottery? So I wanted to welcome in the priestess that's in the house thus far. How are you today, miss? She's on mute. So anyway, when she gets situated, we'll go ahead and get something in on that. But I also wanted to talk a little bit too about some of the dreams that I've been experiencing during this particular time. Of course, it being Pisces season, it gave me this opportunity to kind of really examine myself, because I like to drink, I like to smoke weed and all of this other shit. And so I'm really, getting a clear idea of where I'm at. And I used to, spin a lot of wheels because as old as I am, I felt like I should have been outgrowing that shit. But I'm starting to really be in a space where I can accept that's just, that's who I am. That's what I do, but not like I need to celebrate that and spend most of my time routinely under the influence. However, just still being respectful that I can still indulge, I can still have a good time, but then I know when it's time to leave that shit alone and everything. But this is a time right now where we just had that Saturn which transitioned into Pisces, which is really giving us an opportunity to re-examine our relationships, our connections, with not just things, but people, places too, And I talked about earlier this week about, how I got into cleaning with bleach and all of this shit, and it started really messing with me, and now I got to rethink my whole cleaning strategy. Like, I was kind of married to the whole mentality of it ain't clean if it ain't bleached down. And so now figuring a way to make sure that in my mind, my shit's really clean. after I clean it without using all that bleach, or maybe not so much, you know what I'm saying? And maybe I can, wiggle that in as well. The dreams that I've been having have been very educational. My dreams have been really showing me my blind spots. Being that this is Pisces season, you get an opportunity to kind of look at emotionally how you have been responding to things in life. This is also a time for us to recognize like our direction, the type of boundaries we want to set, how we want to show up. And this is going to be that energy for the next 3 years. So this is definitely a time for us to start reevaluating what goals, what boundaries, all of that shit. What should we establish for the next 3 years? This is a tough love time for us to get real, a time for us to be $150 with ourselves, And so it's an awesome time. We got also springtime is coming up when this sun transitions over into Aries, which is a whole nother energy. And this is that get her done energy. Let's make shit happen. Let's get it energy. I'm feeling that. And then we also got that Aries moon that's going to assist and propel us in making a lot of shit happen. So this is going to be a really good time for us to make some adjustments, to get it in, to start really thinking about or really moving forward on those things that we've been thinking about right now. And all of those things that we got spinning around in our mind, in our imagination, because that's where Pisces is, in the realm of imagination. We get to really start establishing the direction that we're going in and start going towards our goals. And it just seems like, divine order is gangster like that, right? So we in Pisces season, and then Saturn links up with that shit. And this is that energy of Saturn that gets us to bring that shit down to earth. What a gangster ass time it is. So now we bringing it down to earth. Aries shows up to help us make that shit happen. Then we get Pluto in Aquarius. And I know we all done heard, hey sis, have you heard on the news about the UFOs that's been showing up on the scene around the world, all over the planet and whatnot? Apparently these UFOs have been spotted all around the world. And the CIA has been talking about perhaps there's a mothership that's sending down other ships down here. So, the word on the street is that there is a very strong possibility of us being getting more exposure to a lot of the truths that has been hidden from us over the years. We gonna get some disclosure out here in these streets. Trust me when I tell you. So this is definitely a time for us to keep our eyes open and our ears open and really be able to look into shit, not just at it. Don't go to sleep and let Joe and Kamala take the wheel. What else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, that Pluto and Aquarius energy is gonna be so damn ass gangster, because these is like those generational planets, right? That really show up once every 25, 30 years, some shit like that, right? And Pluto in Aquarius is really about major transformation in how we've been operating, how we've been moving out here in these streets. And this is going to show up in our technology. This is going to be showing up in our economy. This is going to be showing up in our information, regardless of which side you on, whether it's going to be a recession, depression, influx of million cajillionaires, however you want to see it, artificial intelligence taking over the world and us turning into batteries and plugging into the matrix, or us really being able to live this George Jetson type of lifestyle, whatever. However it is that you want to see it, it's definitely going to impact those areas. I'm feeling optimistic about this energy. I really am, because we're in this age of information. We know entirely too much to be stupid, to be led into a direction that's not really going to, that's really not going to assist us in advancing and moving forward. I mean, that'd just be like hustling backwards all day, right? So whatever. So yeah, springtime is definitely coming up. I thought I was getting a break from that shit. It's cold in Pittsburgh. Yesterday it was decent. Today it'll be cold tomorrow. So you know we got that flip-flopping the weather and everything. So you know, just a lot of different energy that's going down. St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. You know, there's some shit on the street talking about St. Patrick was really a black man. So that's upsetting some folks out here. So, you know, I don't know, because, and I didn't care enough to look into it, but, you know, I'm just saying, you know, because St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow. I'm not really even sure when Lent season, when Lent starts, or Ramadan. You know, I know those holy holidays are coming right about now, and this is always a really good time to do cleansing, do fasting, hitting a lot of reset buttons to start up this new year, because this is technically the new year. Pisces season is really the last sign technically of the zodiac, Aries being the first sign in that zodiac and everything. So this is a time for us to really be able to clear out a lot of the old stagnant energy, a lot of the shit that don't serve us. This is why we do that spring clean and clearing out a whole bunch of clutter shit we don't need, broke up shit, raggedy shit, all of that. Definitely a powerful time for us to begin making those adjustments and everything. Some goddesses that have been coming through has been the goddess of destiny, which is so on time for right about now. Her name is Burchetta. And her message is that seeds of the future are within you, and you can find serenity while all of that shit's unfolding. So when you know who holds tomorrow, when you are secure in who it is that you are, then you can hold space for yourself, be at peace and be at ease, and just keep doing that work and allowing things to play themselves out. No doubt about it. The lizard animal totem came up. A lot of people was talking about the peacock. I heard Miss Blue was talking about the peacock, how it's connected to Lakshmi, also connected to Oshun. A lot of goddesses that is connected to wealth, beauty, and prosperity, the peacock. I was dreaming peacock, what was that, a couple weeks ago. So that was definitely right on time. And the peacock really wants you to show up and show that ass, let it shine. And when you see the peacock showing up and it's coming out in all its splendor and all of its glory, it's about being unapologetically, unashamedly who in the hell it is that you are, and rocking with it like nobody's business, and not letting somebody else tell you, oh, you got it wrong. That ain't the way we do it. You going against the teaching. Letting that type of bullshit go. But really embracing who you are and being firm and on your square with that, and not allowing your light to be dimmed because somebody else ain't feeling where you coming from. So that's some real talk. The lizard was another one for me this week that it has been coming through. And the lizard is so on time because the lizard brings this encouragement about us dreaming our world into being. See, when this lizard shows up, this is all about us being creative and being able to recognize the various opportunities that's available to us out here in these streets. When we dream our world into being, we get ourselves in alignment with the direction that we're going. And so then we start noticing that we make connections with those things that will put us right where we need to be at. The lizard coming through. Dream your world into being. The goddess Isis has been coming through for many of us in some profound and powerful ways. I have been working with that ancient energy for quite some time. And for me, I have noticed that this is an energy that is similar to many goddesses, the Black Madonna, Yemen-Ya, someone was saying the goddess Hathor, but I can see that, but I'm not experiencing it that way. However, when this great mother goddess energy, the goddess Kali, even though she's a demon slayer and all of that, but when she's in that mother energy, Kuan Yin, yep. You can get in here, Ladybug. So yeah, just a lot of powerful shit. Kuan Yin has definitely been in effect. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, lady. Yes.
So Kuan Yin has been hitting. And Heheru is one of the goddesses that works with me directly with priestesshood, priestess work. And so they've been coming in kind of like a Siamese twin body, where it's half Kuan Yin and it's half Heheru. But they're in and one is like in a lighter blue, one is in a darker blue. And it's just been a complete, I feel like I'm on mushrooms when I wake up. I'm like, oh my God. And I've never really done that stuff outside of like ayahuasca. So I'm like, oh my God, it's such of a lucid experience with them lately. And then I know I was expressing in our in a class with Miss Blue earlier, like last week. I actually took my Buddha and I painted it blue. It came to me in a dream. I was like, let me paint it blue. And then come to find out, we've been understanding this blue Kuan Yin energy. And I've just been like, holy Toledo, because when I see her, now that she's painted blue, she doesn't give me the male energy that I was getting when my Buddha was painted gold and tan. And he was like I'm 5'2". So he's about 4.5 feet. And he sits and he is beautiful. I've had him for years. He's huge, beautiful. Not the typical with the big belly. It's more like with the long earlobes and the knotty hair. He's gorgeous. And when I had him painted gold, it was like gold, tan, and like all these different browns, really beautiful grounding colors with that sun bright color too, of yellows and golds. It was really masculine, and it was helping me push out so much with where I was at that time in my life. It helped me to really get through some really, really hard moments in my life and make some hard decisions, like leaving the love of my life and taking me and my 3 children and just moving on with our lives, right? And once I did that, my children started hitting the Buddha. And all of a sudden, it started becoming deteriorated heavily to where now my Buddha that was like 4.5 feet, which comes to like my belly button, is now like teeter-tottering. Remember that the seesaw in the park back in the day?
Yeah.
That's literally what my Buddha was doing.
Wow.
He was teeter-tottering like the seesaw. So if you move, so anytime I would hear a crunch, I would look and now it's to the left. And that's the feminine side. It would be just, that's where they were breaking it constantly. And it was like, what the heck? Oh my God, this is my love. Like, oh. And so I ended up finding a spot that was able to redo them, but come to find out the entire inside, ironically, with masculine energy was hollow. It was complete. And I never knew it because when I purchased it, I was paying as much as I did for it to be a solid object. Well, come to find out it was just a mold. Wow. There was no essence, there was no essence at all inside. And what the person did was put wooden planks, like in the head, they were all crosses, mind you. It would be like a wood plank going vertical and one going horizontal. And they did that to keep the structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's what they used to mold the Buddha, but there was nothing inside. And so the gentleman, they fixed him at the time. It was a him. They fixed him, but they gave him a pedestal, which I thought was really odd. I'm like, that's for like feminine energy, a pedestal. And the guy was like, I'm not charging you for this. But I just felt like I came to work one day and I said, this needs a pedestal. Keep in mind, these people make garden statues. They know nothing about the Buddha statue life. They just make garden statues for people here in Florida. And when they want to decorate their landscape with a garden and like a fountain, they make those by hand. This is what the company did. And the guy was like, can we keep him for an extra week? And I'm like, hell no. When are you going to be done? He's like, something about him, something about this. And he had it like in the middle of the warehouse. So no matter where you were in the warehouse, you saw him. And he's like, no, he's like, I have an idea. He's like, I know I quoted you a price. I'm not going to charge you more, but this needs to be filled and we need to make a pedestal. Wow. And I was like, well, that's great because I want this to be blue. No shading, just blue, an electric blue with gold hair. He's like, oh my gosh, I just purchased some 24 karat gold flakes. And the man his wife is looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what do you mean you're not charging her extra? And the guy is like, he looked at his wife and was like, honey, I don't know, but this thing was in my dream last night. We need to fill it. We need to do da-da. And he had like this, and keep in mind, it was just like, this is like an alpha male, what we say in our society.
Right.
Where he's like, no, we need to fill it. We need to do this. We do need to keep it for 2 weeks because I need to make sure he's solid. And then by the time I talked to him, he was saying I need to make sure she's okay. She's good. We got her. You want to come by and see her? So after they finish each stage, he would call me and say, you want to come and see her? You want to come and visit? You can pop up anytime. You can pop. And then when they were done, him and his son and his other son, they delivered her for free. He was like, no. Anytime you need to move her, call us. We got you.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. So to find out all this time later, now we're dealing with the supreme divine feminine energy of Kuan Yin. On the flip side, it was just like, you and I were talking, and it was like, I haven't missed a beat. And that has been so humbling to know that you're still in sync, even with being like out of it for a whole year due to like injury and recovery, to know when you do come back in that place of saying, I'm ready to go back to class. I'm ready to do the CYPHER, to see that you're not so far behind and that you are spiritually in tune has been a blessing, but it also has been an awakening, Wow.
That is so gangster, man. And you know what's really crazy? I lit some Kuan Yin incense too before I forgot about it.
That's crazy.
I forgot about that. I'm like, oh,
no, them Kuan Yin incense be on point. I don't care where you get them shits from.
I got mine from the little Chinese store.
That's what I was about to say. You can get them from a man off the corner and they hit.
Yeah.
A homeless dude could be selling them and you be like, oh, Kuan Yin, I got you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, no. So to hear you talking about this energy, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Hey, listen. So when you get a feminine energy statue, you're supposed to put it on a pedestal?
That was pretty much so the what I received, even with going to class and stuff the other night, was the reason why the gentleman put it on a pedestal was because he actually needed to bow down to divine feminine energy. So a lot of men that are very in our society of like, I'm alpha male, even though that's not really a thing. We're all animals. We're all in a pact, and depending on where we are in our pact, we could be alpha or beta. and most men have this negative connotation of being beta men, but being a beta man actually means that you can really connect with that supreme divine feminine within yourself, so you can connect with the women around you, right? And
Right.
that's what makes an alpha man an alpha man.
Right. But then
And
we got
so
so many other like Sigma males, you know, and those are the ones that are more like the independent type. That don't really necessarily need a woman. They can get one, but they don't necessarily need one, and they kind of do their own thing. And I remember when you said that, that was funny, because yesterday I was just reading this article that was talking about Sigma males, and they go through like alpha, beta, delta, sigma, and all of that other shit, and they start talking about the different variations of personality types when it comes.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the divine nine, they go through that. The data, the
Uh-huh.
belta, and the sigma. The sigmas are like the ones that are like, oh, you're like not alpha, and you're not beta. So you have the beta, which is alpha, alpha sigma phi. You have the alpha, which is gamma phi psi. But then you have the sigma theta. And everybody always looks down, like going to an HBCU is crazy when you say that. I'm like, that's so interesting. Because when I was at Hampton University, everybody kind of was like, oh no, I want to be either alpha or omega.
Mm,
Nobody really wanted to be sigma. But
mm,
when I really started doing the math, some of the greatest men on campus were sigma men.
mm.
Like some of the men, I was like, yo, I love your vibe, not even on like some dating shit, but just you're cool as hell.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
became sigma men, and it's like and the same for like the females. You had the alpha, the AKAs, the alpha fives alpha, then you have the delta women, and then you have the sigma, what is it, sigma gamma rho. They're
Mm,
all, and that's interesting when you talk about that, because I was always like, where do they get these words from?
yeah.
Like, who created this? And everybody's always said Latin, but what you're saying makes so much sense. I'm like, that makes so much sense. A sigma male, I never even thought about that, but that would have a place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that makes me. So, what do you call you would say a sigma woman?
Shit, don't even have me started on this. I did, you know what I'm saying? I was just learning something new when I just happened to run across that, because I do remember them just categorizing
Yes,
men as alpha and beta males. And in that
yes.
article, it just spoke to the different variations and everything, and I thought it was interesting. But I noticed that we do everything like with the Greek alphabet, you know, like this whole
Mm-hmm,
the coronavirus, and then you got
mm-hmm,
the Delta variant.
mm-hmm.
You got all
And
of
then you
the
had the
other.
Omicron. Now that's the new one, the Omicron. That's when all
Right,
of them are
right,
put together. You're like,
right,
oh, the omega phi psi. I got you.
right,
Like
right,
the one that takes everybody in, no problem. So this is the alpha over the other alpha that you already said existed. Got it.
right, right. Get you some cracks Lovid. That's what get you.
I was
When
like,
it's
I might as well
Lovid,
just go.
cracks Lovid.
That makes so much sense to uncover connection. But it's amazing when you start to look at the etymology of words
Yeah.
and their diction and what they mean, because you realize you've been talking very interestingly and very and most of us talk very masculine, even
Mm-hmm.
as women. Our
Yep.
society promotes this masculine. So now it's like, even with a friend of mine, we were talking the other day, because there's some stuff that was happening with my girls' gymnastics gym. And I'm like, because I'm like, listen, if we could deal with facts, I don't need to be emotional.
Right.
And people would think I'm emotional because or aggressive or angry, because I'm like, no, these are the facts.
Mm,
No, I'm not being a bitch. This is just the facts.
right.
And then meanwhile, they're emotional. I'm like, but no, these are the facts. So what
Right.
ended up happening was we were supposed to wear like brown leotards on the beach. Keep in mind, the beach faces east. I'm in
Mm,
Florida. They decided, one of the parents decided, let's do white. I don't do white
mm,
with people that I don't know on the beach. That's culturally inappropriate.
mm-hmm.
Period. We could have picked any other color in the rainbow, but white and black.
Right.
You're not going to catch me facing east taking pictures with associates.
What does that mean though? Because I don't really understand how that I haven't heard any of that. You know, I'm kind of
Okay, so this is my thing for my family.
okay.
We live in Florida, so the beaches are east.
Mm-hmm.
West is the graveyard. That's where the ancestors, when their souls leave, they leave west. North is where the ancestors they're going to enter from. They usually come from the north. And then you have the south, which is we're really close to the equator. So if I'm on the beach and I'm in white, that's a ceremonial ancestral color for my children and myself. So I'm not going to go on the beach with 15 other parents that I'm suspecting some prejudice and racism because you're brown, but you think you're white. Number one, let's talk about these different issues that we're having among black and brown people. Where some of you all don't speak because my hair looks like it's not combed to you. Or sometimes you do speak because I actually will twist my hair up or braid it sometime or whatever. I don't know you all. We're not family. Like now, if we're saying the priestesses are going to go on the beach, yeah, we'll wear white, whatever color you want.
Right,
because
right.
I've spent time and energy with you all, but we're facing east.
Right.
East is where your mind is, your soul is, and that's where you actually can cast spells and move energy in and out, just like with the waves. You can have them come in and out.
Okay.
I'm personally not going to take my children, even though it said it's free. Ain't shit in this world free. Nothing's free.
Okay.
So you want me, you said brown, which is a beautiful grounding color while we're on the beach, and they're all different gymnasts, right? Of different colors. You say you want to change it to the color white because it will look better on their skin tone. Now you have fucked me up. I'm definitely not, especially since you're Dominican, you know the color game. I'm not doing, I don't wear white with just, even to this day, like my children, we don't wear just white anywhere. We just don't, hey, I'm just going to put on an all white outfit and just go out. I'm going to put on an all black outfit and just go out. No, that's not something we just don't partake in it. It
Well,
has
you
to
know
be
what?
some
You
type of
just
ceremony.
enlightened me. I didn't, yeah, but it makes sense. I get it. And you know what? See, my thing with the East is I only just really associated it where the sun rose and said, hey, what's up, brother Dante? I'm sorry, I didn't even get to acknowledge you showing up. But you know, the sun, it rising and setting in the East. That was the only
No, it
I
actually
knew.
doesn't.
Okay.
It rises in the east and it sets in the west.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't see, but if you live in a certain, like I'm sure where you live, it looks like that.
Right.
But like living in Florida, it's distinct. Because like in the morning when I get up at 6 a.m. and I go out before I wake up my children, the moon and the sun is right. The moon is up bright on my left. The sun is rising on my right. So in Florida, whenever you need, if you're lost, all you need to know is when it says beaches, you're east. Because we're on the East Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Anything west, you're going to be going toward the Pacific versus the Atlantic, which are two totally different oceans. And so, and I was telling I was writing in my journal. I was like, I know I may be a stickler, but this is one of my priestess calls. And it took me a time to figure it out. The colors do matter. It's when you want to make someone feel inferior that it's a problem. Like I'm just like, I just don't. And so my daughter's not participating. And a lot of the mothers are like really upset about it. And I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you. You should have actually talked to all of us because I would have told you why we don't wear white. But since it's an afterthought, no, I am an asshole sometimes. And this is where I am an asshole. Since it was an afterthought of telling me after you told me to buy brown and I bought brown, we don't do white for vanity purposes because nothing in life is free. Just like this free demand of you telling my child she is required to wear white. That makes this whole photo shoot no longer free. It's quid pro quo, and I don't do quid pro quo at all. And so it's been like one of those things where it's like this whole full moon has made me very comfortable with like, no, these are my healthy boundaries. You know, I'm sorry if you feel away, but these are my boundaries. And even if we talk about it, these are still my boundaries.
I love it. I love this because this right here, yes, not only that Virgo moon did definitely do a number of, but then this is speaking exactly to that whole Saturn being in Pisces, where it has you kind of
and I am a Capricorn, so
Oh yeah. That and listen, and this is really gonna have us reviewing like a lot of that shit that
Really
that we wasn't really 100%
checking for.
clear on,
Yeah.
wasn't checking for. Absolutely. Like I had this dream um about my cousin, and she showed up, and she was like, she spoke to my husband, and she didn't really know him all like that. She kind of ignored me. And like that really like wounded me and shit. And I woke up, I'm mad at my husband and shit, you know what I'm saying? Feeling some type of way. So I went upstairs and got with
Wow.
Spirit and everything. And Spirit was just really showing me that this is something that's still, even though you say you don't give a fuck, you really do.
Let me tell you. You do. You do.
You know?
You do. You
Really
do. No,
do.
you really do. You
And
really,
there's a
really
different
do.
way that you can navigate situation. Don't mean that you wasn't done wrong,
Yes.
but how we go about addressing that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. And dealing with that, like, I could have definitely just like exposed the truth. Like, so this is what you doing. You know what I'm saying? And this is your witness on how you show me what righteousness looks like. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Showing up this way. Like that could have been handled differently. But when you in such a state where your emotions is feeling compromised, when you're feeling some type of way like that, you kind of respond in the moment and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so this was a time that's really speaking to that right about now.
Yeah.
And so when I was pulling the cards and everything about like what we've been discussing, I was like, creative intelligence, Queen of Swords came up.
Mm, mm.
And when the Queen of Swords comes up, this is that feminine energy. This is the feminine energy, and the suit of swords is about the air element. The air element is all about how we thinking. You know what I'm saying? How we process in the world, how we learn. You know what I'm saying? And when the Queen of Swords comes through, this is all about emotional growth, transforming a lot of our pain into wisdom. This is about being intellectually strong and being able to accept a lot of the challenges that we face in life, because otherwise we show up differently when the Queen of Swords comes through. And when I pull that card, if it comes up reverse, we know the ideal is being able to take all of that pain, transform it into wisdom, right? Inner strength, independence, intelligence, all of that shit, being objective and being able to communicate. But then when it's not, within it's right, when it's upside down, when it's in reverse. And this is why I deal with reverse, because the reverse tells us that we're not really quite making that. So that means that we're in a space of being unable to speak the truth. What happens like when we're in that energy where we deal with some shit that triggers us and we ain't navigating it correctly? We navigating it from a hurt space. This is like this work. Spirit has been like really fucking on my ass about working with energy, right?
That's so deep, because I just told I have a high school best friend who's a Cancer, and she's into astrology, and she's learning differently, and she really inspired me to really learn from the space we're in. And we were talking, and I asked her the other day, I was like, do you think adults were this fucking weird when our parents were adulting? Because adults are weird to me, and I'm an adult. And she wrote me back, I don't think there's anything new under the sun. That's probably why both of our mothers were introverts. Because my mother, we couldn't go to spend a night at nobody's house. Her mother was the only mother that I could spend a night at her house, and her mother was an alcoholic, but she was functioning. Like, we never got to just rip and roam. You know what I mean? Like, there was still discipline and order. Even though my mother never knew until she passed away, and I finally told her, well, Daisha's mom, but we were talking about that, and what you just said is so perfect, because it has been a thing where when you're doing the work to be your authentic selves, and you see that 80 to 90% of society is doing the opposite, which is hiding behind social electronics, AI, and science, it's really, really interesting to keep, number one, create and maintain a dialogue that builds healthy relationships with, like, for me, my children to other mothers' children, and then just me interacting with women. And half of these women, sad to say, are married. I'm single as hell. But these women are, it's like, are you in your body? Like, what are we doing here? And so I've had with my growth, I've had an empathy because, like, a couple years ago, I would call them lazy ass parents. And that was a trigger. Like you said, that was a trigger for me because my mother gave up 8 children. I don't do lazy parenting.
Right.
In 2023, though, it's shifted to where my heart, I have empathy for them. That you have to live this point of view in your existence for everyone else, but what are you really experiencing in your mirror to mirror point of view?
Right.
And I don't think that a lot of adults, I feel, let me not say I don't think, I feel that a lot of adults that are adulting, it's easy for us to escape. It's no differently than self-medicating with wine and weed, but you still get up and go to work the next day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no different. But then society will say, oh, yeah, there is a big difference. You're so much better than those kind of people. Those are addicts. No, but I'm seeing so much codependent behavior among adults that I'm like, where are we? To where now I'm like, maybe I need to go to a codependent anonymous, just because I know my family. I mean, we come from hood money. Either you own them or you sell them, but everybody has a house. Nobody's homeless. Like, we come from hood money. That's just the reality. And so I'm like looking at adults, and I'm talking to my mother about it. And my mother is like, yeah, you're going to feel like that. I get it. And she's like, yeah, I understand because I have those experiences too. But she's a Jehovah's Witness, so she deals with them differently, which is often allowing people to save face. And I'm like, let's just get to the root of let's get to the root here. So it's just been interesting maneuvering, because for the first time in my life, I feel like you said, I'm not judging the pain I feel for humanity, girls. Sometimes I wake up and I'm in tears because I've dreamt, I've gone places, and I'm like, and I'm even like talking about out of the planet. Like, I'm just going around the United States, looking at homes and looking at places and neighborhoods, whole communities. And it's just like, everyone is pretending. And it's like, but for what?
Yes.
At the end, like, what are we doing? What's happening? We're becoming like willing AI agents, and we have a whole brain.
Wow.
A whole brain. So this has been on point, and I'm going to be quiet because I know the brother probably has his speech to speak, but you hit this one on the head. Thank you so much for this. You hit this one on the head. A lot of the stuff I was like, I can't even journal. I've even put up my phone to try to do like a voice memo. And when I go to the words, I just cry because I'm like, I'm feeling something. Like, and as a Capricorn, I'm an earth sign. I'm like, I'm feeling the earth move beneath my feet when I'm talking to other adults, because I'm feeling the unsifted energy. I'm feeling the as my children would say, the fugazi or the sus energy. Like, I'm feeling it and I'm seeing it in your life. And even though I want to talk to you about it, I can't.
Right.
So I just had to tell a mother the other day, which was like a friend of my daughter's mom. I had to tell her, you're awkward and phony. I wish that we could talk as women, but you're awkward and phony. And it makes me really uncomfortable.
You know what? I think that I've been experiencing most people as putting on this false persona, this false
Yes.
and everything. Brother Dante, what's going on?
So I'm gonna cue because I know Brother Dante.
Hold up, let me see. Hey, yeah. So we sitting up here, we talking about how people have been showing up in this world.
Oh, yeah, I caught on to I came in like 30 minutes ago. So I've been listening. I talk oh yeah, thank you. I talk a lot, so I'll be knowing when to talk or how how long to talk. Like I
Oh,
be going in that zone to where time don't matter. But I
yeah.
did want to say a couple little things just to put a different point of view out there because I came in
Please.
when y'all was talking about wearing colors, wearing white versus wearing black,
Okay.
or why not to wear all white or feeling any type of way about it, period. And all I wanted to say was like everything, I understand where they come from, but everything like serves a purpose.
Right.
So when you wear all white, it's putting your energy out. And sometimes that's necessary, in life. Like if you were to do a performance of any kind, you will want to wear all white because it's putting what's inside of you out, it's radiating it, and it's kind of like wearing the sun. So sometimes you want to put your energy out, but if let's say you wear all black, you're pulling energy in and holding on to everything. All that to say, sometimes you don't want to wear black either. Just like you
Right.
don't, if you put on black and it's pulling in everybody's energy, you might not want to say funky ass energy. So, you know what I'm saying? And it's all about
Absolutely.
understanding what you wearing, just being aware of, okay, I'm wearing all black. Some weird people might walk up to me and want to be in my face, or especially like mentally ill people, like they see the light coming off you, and it's like they come straight to you. When I'm at
Mm,
work, all kinds of people with mental illness, they want to talk to me. I'm not doing nothing. I ain't saying nothing. I could have a mask on covering my face. They walk right past everybody outside and come straight. I'm like, who is this person? But I'm aware that, I'm wearing a black hoodie right now. I'm pulling in. I'm like a black hole,
mm,
like a black hole. So wearing
yeah.
all white is like wearing the sun. So there are cases where you may want to put your energy out to go to penetrate everybody else's energy field, if you will, to help amplify your aura.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there just so you can have another perspective on wearing white. Because now you might say, I'm wearing all white tomorrow
Absolutely.
because I'm gonna go, take pictures, some pictures. Like
Yeah.
if somebody takes pictures, and that's why the whole Orisha thing is kind of uh well, it's religious, but it's like they wear all white all the time. So
Right.
they're always putting their energy out all the time. So that's why they fight amongst each other
Mm.
because they're all projecting their energy onto each other. Nobody's wearing black, so it's almost like nobody's listening. And
Right.
I'm
So
gonna
there's
stop
no
talking
balance.
before I zone out. It's
Yeah.
6:25 here.
Wow,
I'll
you
lose
know
track
what?
of
That
time.
was gangster right there. Because I didn't even think of it that way. When she said that, I thought about when she said that the woman was Dominican. I was wondering if that was connected to that Ifa tradition, where I think they wear the white. I think that they deal with the Orishas and whatnot, right? And they wear a lot of the white. But then it also got me thinking about those white parties that, I don't know if they throw them in,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
right,
Huh?
right. But they throw a
Doing
lot
that
of them
shit.
here so niggas don't act niggly. you know? I
Right. Shit.
so,
Alcohol out there, all that white, they'll be fighting in a minute. They'll be fighting before you know it. But
absolutely right. Because alcohol and we you know what I'm saying? And like that was one of the things that I was like really looking at because I like to drink too, but I also realized
yeah,
that alcohol, it passes through my kidneys, which helps to amplify the fear, that fire water. It passes through the liver, which holds anger. And this is why people is always pissed the fuck off after a couple of drinks up in them. Or they end up being susceptible later because I'm one of them people, I'm lottie-dottie. I like to party. I don't cause problems. I don't bother nobody. However, however,
yeah,
after if I've been drinking, I noticed that my frustration tolerance, it drops, it lessens some. And so even though I haven't been drinking and maybe it's like 2 days later, it takes a minute for it to filter out through my body. And then I noticed that I'm a little bit more impatient after that after that whole session. It's not like it was like where I'm snapping out because I got a few drinks in me, I want to fight and everything. But I'm noticed like I'm not here for it. I don't want to hear no foolishness in it, everything. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of withdraw just a little bit because I noticed that now I know that the alcohol, when it filters through my body, it starts to activate a lot of low vibrating emotions. I just put something in my body that can potentially lower my vibration, and it filtered through organs that hold certain emotions. And you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just wanted to give you a shortcut because I like I like doing that. So
Yeah.
the shortcut would be when you drink alcohol, it is depressing who you created, the ego aspect, the personality, it pushes that down. So when it pushes this personality that you created downward, the personality that you've been hiding all this time pops up. The shit you want to say pops up. So it's just destroying your conscious mind, like literally sucking the water out your brain, which is your antenna, but it's literally making that faulty and less able to work. That's why you can't drive a car because you're not judging. So if you're not judging correctly, you can't make decisions as the normal case because you're not judging correctly.
Right.
So you're not. So it could be a good thing and a bad thing. It could be a good thing because you see that it's altered, and now it's totally affects your entire personality. So yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right. You were breaking up a little bit, but you be dropping some science when you get in here, man. And
My bad.
definitely something for us to really sit back and think about too, you know. Alcohol being a depressant, absolutely it is. And I have noticed, especially by observing a lot of people in my life, when they have a few drinks, and some of them is like me, we like to have a good time and laugh and party and have a good time. And then other cats, you know, like all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? The quiet dude is talking all out the side of his neck. He, you know what I'm saying? He's aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Because he was holding that shit in. He was trying to be his normal self. And then the alcohol came in, and now he's pushing his personality down and doing what he really want to do, which is go talk to everybody crazy. He's been holding that in. He never got rid of that energy. So as long as you're extra conscious when you're drinking, totally aware, and you don't just be doing things without intention, then alcohol can be used just to give you a peek through the door, but it's definitely easy to get stuck like that. Stuck with alcohol.
What are your thoughts about using sound frequencies to adjust the alcohol? Like, you know, maybe a tuning fork, a singing bowl. Would that have an effect, do you think?
I believe it will have an effect. I believe since using tuning forks and stuff like that, that's a high vibrational thing. So it will do something, but it ain't gonna distill the poison, if you will. You know what I'm saying? It's still, the alcohol is still suppressing your brain, pushing you down. So you can play a tuning fork and it can't penetrate.
Yeah, I really think
I was just gonna say on one level it'll change it, but then the body is meant to survive, so it will do anything to survive. And what it's gonna do is filter out the poison. It's high vibrational poison now, but it's still poison in your physical body.
Nevertheless,
so you may have a more positive spiritual experience, but you're still destroying your body. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Have you noticed on the bottle of Douce, that there is the cross of Lorraine on it? And that's
I don't even know who that is.
Douce is I think Jay-Z, I don't know if he still does, but I know he used to really promote that. I think he's invested in this particular, it's a cognac. And on the bottle, I'm gonna see if I have that bottle still here. But on the bottle of the Douce is the cross of Lorraine, which symbolizes that it can work as a poison or is it an elixir? And so, you know what I'm saying?
I understand totally, and that's true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. You know what I found out that I never alcohol was definitely used to like help people wake up. Like there's ways you can do it.
Right. Right. You're kind of breaking up, and that's really messed up. Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying, like, the way they make alcohol, there's like 1,000 ways to make alcohol. And the way they're making it is the shittiest way. Just like they put poison in the tobacco to kill you, but something has you addicted, and that's the spiritual aspect. So the thing that makes alcohol so great is because there's a spiritual aspect to it, but they're not fermenting using, they're like plant and tree roots, like to, you know what a tincture, like what a tincture is. It has a little bit of alcohol in it. When you go to like Whole Foods or some healthy store, they got tinctures of like milk thistle or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly that. So that's alcohol right there.
right.
So imagine drinking a big old bottle of that. It makes you high.
Damn. You kind of breaking up and everything, but I'm getting where you're going with that. And absolutely, you know, the alcohol has it's a preserver, right? Absolutely. It's a preserver, and it works as an elixir, and it can also be a poison. And sitting around trying to drink a whole lot, the shit's harsh on the body. Number one, first and foremost. So, you know, this is one of the things that I realized I can't take it in like I used to. And so I'm you know, so I kind of give that a little bit more space now as I've gotten older and everything. But this whole situation that we talk about, like with our consumptions of alcohol, with drugs and all of that other type of shit. And then the priestess was talking about ayahuasca. Have you ever tried that before? Oh, he done blinked out and everything. And Priestess, I guess she was on there and everything. That is something that I've always wanted to try, is that ayahuasca. And I've heard that, you know, it's such an enlightening experience. There's so many people that's out here that's, you know, that's been out here that have tried the ayahuasca, and they've gotten
well, the next
and
time
all of that.
the next time the sister does it, I will share it with you.
Okay.
She is an indigenous sister. Because I'm just to give you a backlash, my mother gave up all me and my 8 siblings. I'm the only girl to like alcoholism, and pretty much she's a Virgo, and so it was a survival mode, and my mother is still in that mode. Even though she's sober, it's still just the energy, but she just really didn't have it to give us. Right. Even if she would have been sober, I don't think my mother would have kept us. Make sense?
Yes.
And so it's been a thing where when I've never tried recreational drugs outside of weed. Let me be clear. And I tried it when I was in college because I'm insolvent. Once I realized I didn't have to take care of everybody, I didn't know how to sleep comfortably. I still struggle with that to this day. So when this opportunity came up, my biggest thing is I don't do drugs. Like in college, I have a master's degree. I've seen people do everything under the sun. And they would be like, yeah, we could just try it. And I used to tell my college friends, I can't just try it. I am there may be a switch that can turn on that doesn't turn off. For my bloodline. I'm not judging your bloodline.
Had that experience, right? A lot of
people. I'm not judging you.
Absolutely.
But for me, just pass the weed. I don't want nothing else. Absolutely. I don't, and you know, and even like if I do smoke or something like that when I was in college, I didn't mix liquor and weed. I just was like, I've always had that feeling of my mother must have given me the worst of her genes because I'm the only girl.
Hold up. Let me close this out on this side, and then I'll let you finish your thought on the YouTube. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, that's the end for the podcast portion of that. Definitely check us out on YouTube. Think about it. All right, all right. So go ahead, finish your thought now. I had to. Okay. So anyway.
No, you're good. Yeah. So for me, it was a thing where I haven't never done it. And so when this opportunity came up, it actually was really organic. I was having some issues with my youngest daughter. We would be sleeping and she would be screaming bloody murder. She was like 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. And she would be looking at a corner like an infant and screaming. And she's like, oh my God, you don't see that? It was like and it was like a thing out of a horror movie. I'm like, no, I don't. What the hell is it? There's a corner I don't see. I would even get up and sage it, put probably Santo. She would still be freaking out. And so I called a dear friend of mine, and they were like, listen, he was from Jamaica, but he was my raw foodist, and he ended up bringing me a washout drink, which is helps us purge. And so I was like, look, this thing has been happening. I'm really tired, because he actually was at my door for like 30 minutes because I was not up, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning and I was knocked out. I'm like, I'm so sorry I had you wait. This is what, so it came about organically. He was like, listen, I know I've always said, the white man this, the white man that, but I found somebody that I really thinks is like da da da. So he sent me to them, and I'm like, yeah, I'm omniversal. I haven't been on that in years. So yeah, give me the info. So I go to this lady. Her name is Sister Leela, and or she just calls herself Leela, but she's definitely an indigenous priestess. And so there ended up being a shaman coming from Bolivia, which is where she's from, and the gentleman didn't even know English, right? And he pulls out some leaves, sis, literally some leaves from a tree. And I was like, oh shit, what are we doing here? I'm like, what's going on? And he read me in a whole nother language because I was coming about my daughter. He pretty much said that my daughter had gotten hit really hard 3 times on her knee, and it was so right. My daughter had a really big, kind of like almost like a hole in her little knee, but it was like just from her falling repeatedly on that knee. And ironically, it's on her left side. And I mean her right side, excuse me. And he's like, what she did was she snapped her soul cord. So her soul is in the pit of earth. And it was so strange to me because I had been dreaming. My ancestors have been taking me down to this core of earth, showing me this grave where everybody lives when they don't pass over to their final destination. And I was looking at him like, keep in mind, the lady Leela is like translated for me. And I'm like, what? This dude got some leaves from a tree. What the hell? How is this? And it was on point. Wow. Everything he said was on point, and the man didn't know any English. And so he said to me, you need to come to the ayahuasca this weekend. Wow. And so of course, me, American, I'm like, so how much is that? Right. and she's like, it was like 280 or 180 or something. I don't even remember, but I know it was more than what I could afford off the rip, just like random. I'm very into budgeting. Right, so I was like, well, I can't afford that. The gentleman looks at me and he says something in like this native indigenous Bolivian language. And he says that you could pay whatever you want. You just need to be there. And I was like, sure. Can I bring somebody? Because I'm like, I need to bring a friend in case these people, human trafficking was really big at the time.
Right.
I'm sitting there like, oh, can I phone a friend? Like, how we gonna do this? Right. So I was like, and they need to be a male, because I need somebody that can help me if y'all are trying to get me doped up and kidnapped. So, and that was really just ego of not wanting to accept that this was a part of my process. And so I asked my homeboy, who's is a great friend to my children. He's one of my children's godparents. Out of the 6, he's one. And he said, yeah, I'll go. And he's like follows Dr. Sebi diet, very clean. He's like, oh, okay, ayahuasca. We're not just going to be partying and dancing. I'm like, no, it's going to be a ceremony. Da da da. We're there for 8 hours, literally. It was like 8 hours from like 10 to 8 in the morning, and we had to bring a piece of fruit so that we could share it in the morning. And so we I asked another godmother, hey, can you keep the kids? And so we go. And I remember taking the ayahuasca, and I was like, this is some bullshit. Like, what? And then they came back around and they gave us they were like, if you want more, go to get more. So of course, you know me, I'm little, like 5'2", think I'm like a fucking bull. I'm like, yeah, let's get some more. Let's do this shit. Let's go. So I go get more. And the gentleman tells me, no, you're good. You're wide open. You're good. And I was like, huh? So I sit back down, and within 30 minutes, I was in the bathroom praying that it stopped. And I was like, God, the source, this is why I don't do drugs. Make it stop. Because I was seeing so many, and I thought it was like a drug moment. And then they came and got me out the bathtub. And I'm sitting there like, please make this stop. And everybody, we had to bring certain things like a bucket, a mat, a blanket. And it was like all of us. It was amazing. And finally they got, a bucket, like a bucket so you can throw up in. Exactly. Yeah. So they're like, you need to, and they were so sweet. The guy comes in, the shaman comes in, smoking the tobacco, spraying this perfume, and he's drumming. And it put me at such of a peace that when he talked to me, he was like, you are stopping your process. You have to purge. And that's when it hit me. That was the point of the ayahuasca, was to purge. And so I sat and I did it, and I got all these different revelations about my family that I was able to confirm with my grandmother days later, right? Because ayahuasca stays with you about 72 hours. Wow. So it's like one of those things where even you can't take it 6 months later. If somebody allows you to
use it,
well, my homeboy couldn't. I could, and I know it's because I would brew tea for weed, so to sleep. Like I would take tea and brew it as weed. So I knew once I realized what was happening, he was like, I can't drive. And it was his car. He was completely fucked up. And I was like, I got it, because I self-medicated home. I brew tea, I sip it at night, and I go to sleep. So I could take us home. But even that, girl, we were in the Priestess. We were in the far lane, doing about 60, and the speed limit was 65 the entire 45-minute drive home. And after that, it was just like, it was a beautiful moment, because afterward, each person talked about their experience. And for me, I just had mucus. I thought I just knew my bucket in the morning was going to be halfway full of throw up. There was nothing in there. And for the first time ever, I realized I am not digesting what has happened to me in my life since a child. I'm just moving through shit because there's nothing in this bucket. There's nothing. Like and the visions, everything was so clear. And I have not done ayahuasca since, because I'm like, I've gotten so much information. And the young lady, she has not offered it. And I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it through you. I mean, they were drumming for us. It was a ceremony. It wasn't just like people trying to experiment with shrooms and psychedelics.
Yeah, because I'm down for that too. Yeah,
I mean, and it was like, and for me, I realized, I'm going to be honest with you, from the ayahuasca experience, I can't handle it. I can't handle the psychedelic. I need it to be a tamed experience where there's a direct, like a guide, like a spiritual guide.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Shit. Man. Yeah, see, that's one of my things, is that I would be showing up looking to get high and you know what I'm saying, and end up in the Twilight Zone and shit like that, But from what my understanding is that ayahuasca is this really enlightening experience. And you know me, I ain't afraid of no get high. We go see what it do. You know what I'm saying? And if it can help me deal with me, then I am definitely with that, you know. And then, you know what I'm saying? I'm a partying type of person. Hey, brother Dante, you ever try this ayahuasca? I don't know if he can hear me. Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for coming out and sharing your space with me, your energy. I just really appreciate. Hey, bro. I was just asking.
Mushrooms, it's gonna be pretty much the same deal. So mushrooms are more a controlled way to do it, and basically, like if you eat anything over, what is it? I think it's 7 ounces. You start. It's the same deal. You going somewhere. Mushrooms are the shit. Like
I want to try them too. I never tried them shits neither, man. It's as open as I am.
They're legal in San Francisco now. Where I live at, they are legal. You can go into the store and pick which one you want right now.
Oh, I'm need to get on. I need a flight out to San Fran.
Or I could send you a postcard.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
If you can read between the lines,
absolutely.
You can read between those lines. I could send you a postcard.
Absolutely.
But all that to say, it does wonders. Like it really ain't no explanation for it. And just like the sister was saying, like even with mushrooms, you will say, I'm never doing that again. I enjoyed it. Yes, it was liberating and this and that, but I'm never doing it again. I know people like that, like my sister. Like when she finally got the real visuals and really seeing shit, she was happy, crying because she was happy and all this positive shit. But she says, I like them, but I just can't do them because they're too powerful. If you like it and it helped you, what are you doing? You're running from reality. You're running from the spiritual experience. So it kind of has that effect too. Like, just like with the ayahuasca, to where you want to adjust right quick. Like, hold on, did I really just see and do all that shit? Like, it'll fuck you up. But then, yeah, I keep doing it because I kept doing it.
I want to try that shit, but see, I know me, you know what I'm saying? And my tendency is that, you know, I like this. I'm gonna be getting high off of this week. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't gonna let you do that though. It ain't gonna, you will not make it a habit because it's real and it's healing. And if you got, let's say you struggling with some negativity, you will fuck around and not do it because you will see the negativity like in high definition in ways you've never seen it before. So it won't make you won't abuse it. In other words, like you will love it, but you know, some people can do it once and they just stop. Me, I just keep doing it. Every time I feel inspired, I'm going to go get me some mushrooms when I feel inspired to do them. But it won't, you ain't got to worry about that. They're not addictive.
Good. You know? Well, you know what? I've never really, I always had an issue with me because I tend to abuse shit, but I've never really felt like addicted to anything. Like I can leave it alone, but I just like to do that shit. That's just who I am. You know what I'm saying? I will get high. I'm with that shit. You know, I'm one of it. Like I never really got into crack, but I used to go out to the club and snort cocaine. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. But do I want some of that shit? No, I don't. You know what I'm saying? I did it. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, but I'm good. You know, I'm just, you know.
I thoroughly agree. And yes, I have partaken in coke before. And it's not, that's something you do when you just hyped up and you doing shit. Like it doesn't feed your spirit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what the mushrooms do is they feed the spirit. So I dare you to get on it like that. Like how you think you're going, oh, I'm going to just keep doing this because I like it. I want to talk to you after your first experience, and then we'll see what you got to say about that.
Well, I'm glad you told me, right? Because I've been on washing it down with a glass of wine.
Which is okay, depending on, you know, if it's your first time.
Right. Wash it down with a glass of wine and topped it off with a spliff and then sat back to see what happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the weed, but you could probably do a little bit of wine, but no weed. I wouldn't do that. I'm not
Right.
even gonna play. Don't do
Right.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was saying, because then my husband would call like, well, what the fuck is going on here? Walk me through what's happening before I know. Right. My wife is simple as hell. You know what I'm saying? And now she's somewhere she don't want to be. Please help her.
But you come back, and that's the thing. Sometimes,
Okay.
like it's been like 2 or 3 times where I took it, and I had to tell myself, I took some mushrooms. I'm gonna be back later. I'm gonna be back. Like the time I called on Kali, like I took some mushrooms and called on Kali. That was, it was, when they say like if she destroys who you think you are, like it does that in a profound. Like, I didn't think nothing was gonna happen because I don't speak Sanskrit. You know, I don't speak Om Shanti. I don't speak none of that. But I'm listening to it, and since I was on shrooms, and it took down my thinking apparatus to where I can feel and experience different things. That the chanting, I was just playing her music, and the chanting and chanting and chanting. Her statue, even her statue that I had in my room, didn't look like nothing. Like nothing was real. Like I was like, oh, I don't like this. And then I started feeling stuck. Like if you claustrophobic and you can't move, like I was feeling like that for a good 45 minutes, like contemplating, telling telling somebody like, hey, if something happened to me, like I was on that level with it. But when I came back, like I said, I had to keep saying, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna be normal again, I'm gonna be normal again. And when it finally lifted up, I had to laugh, like laugh hella hard, out loud. I was laughing like fuck, because I was like, that was so uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I thought I was done. So
right.
all that to say, yeah.
Yeah, because I
tap into some real shit.
Right, brought me back to an old memory. I remember back in the day, in the early mid 2000s when K2 was a thing, and I had gotten convinced that I needed to try a joint of that shit, and so my daughter was having her 16th birthday party. So this is probably about what 10-15 years ago, somewhere in there. She was having her sweet 16th birthday party, and it was a sleepover. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to put me on a movie and smoke this spliff in the shower and lay back and enjoy the ride. Well, I did that. And I ended up somewhere I did not want to fucking be. And I thought I was going to need an ambulance to come and get me. My husband's like, you're not going to the fucking hospital. You're not ruining her birthday. You're going to ride this shit out. This is what you do. I don't know why you keep doing shit like this. But so that's why I got to make sure that I'm a little bit more educated before I proceed. Because I'm that person. So yeah.
But no, yeah, I hear you though. I hear exactly where you're coming from. But you will be good. Trust me.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
It's just like sometimes it's like when you're dreaming. It's like, have you ever lucid dreamed?
Yes.
Like when you know you're dreaming, it's kind of like that, but it's, I don't know how to say it. There ain't no way to explain it. But it's like you know it's gonna be over, but it will show you some shit. Cause at the time I did I was calling on Kali is when I was still smoking a lot of weed, and the weed wasn't getting me high because now it's all GMO where I'm at. It's not even weed no more. It's this CBD and weird stuff that looks like weed. Like they just mixing genetics because they don't really want you tapping in. All that to say, when I was calling on Kali, she showed me how you're trying to go into the past. Like I I had a vision where I lit up a blunt, I lit the tip, and then I became the essence of the weed. So I traveled through my own blunt, and then I time travel. I like not time travel, but teleported back to where I used to live, which was showing me that this weed, you're smoking it because you're trying to go back to where you used to live where you was more comfortable, because I was not comfortable where I was living. And,
Mm.
and so that's what I'm trying to say. Like it, so no matter how uncomfortable it was, it taught me for sure. And it was the most uncomfortable I've never experienced. And I did mushrooms again and again after that. So that
Okay.
shows you the strength of your spirit will determine if you can handle it or how much you want to do or
Okay.
stuff like that. But you ain't gonna snap though. You're gonna be
Right.
good.
Right. I just want to make sure that, well, here's what I'm going to do. When I try that shit, I'm going to try it on its own to see
Oh
where,
hell yeah, no,
see,
yeah, that's
see
the
what it
best.
do. And then,
That's
then
the
I'll
best.
know how to proceed from that point further. I'm a lot wiser now than sitting around letting somebody convince me like, you can smoke this weed and it won't show up on your drug test. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
don't do that. Yeah, don't do
Right.
that. I did that too before, but don't do that. That
Don't do
spice.
that. Don't do that. It took me somewhere I didn't want to be. So I don't recommend doing that. Then I told my
Yeah.
mom about it. She's like, give me that shit, nigga. You need to give me that. I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you, it's a terrible thing. I shaded my mom. She was the shit back when she was here. But
I
anyway.
stand her. I stand her.
Ashe.
Thank you. Thank
No, but
you.
I agree with what you're saying, because some people that are melanated, they can go and dibble and dabble. And I apologize because my phone definitely did die as I
Yeah.
was cooking a dinner roast for my family.
Oh, it's
Um,
good.
but some people cannot dibble and dive to
Oh,
where you do that. And you
oh.
do need to. So for me, if I were to ever do something that's mind altering,
Mhm.
um, and I remember I even, expressed this to Miss Blue. Like, I had went to a place that was saying, hey, we're gonna do a comedic temple, and come to find out they were all on shrooms, and they were all the main head priestess was addicted to shroom. That was the only way she could get her mathematics.
Mm,
As a priestess, you get what I'm saying? Like, that was the
right,
only
right.
way she could touch that shit. And I was like, I'm here for a reason. And after talking to Miss Blue, I'm like, this shit is looking real project pork and beans over here. And I'm not sure why you taught us that we were these illustrious people. This shit is looking real ghetto, real
Mm.
ghetto. And she helped hone me into where I did finish it. But then the lady went and told everybody she took shrooms and I had demons, all these demons. But it was because I was not about to leave my spirituality in the hands of shrooms. So
Right.
if you do shrooms, I really anything that is mind altering, like ayahuasca, shrooms is psychedelic, all that. It needs to be under care. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck if it's your husband that is able to record you and do a voice recording so that whatever spirits come through, you can still gain something. But
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, you're using drugs. And I've seen it. I've seen it like firsthand. And I caught Miss Blue like really terrified, because I'm like, oh my God, I think I have breached the addict thing. And that has always been a fear for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what pain I can't digest and what things I don't understand. I don't want to be an addict. That
Yeah.
is a big fear of mine. My mother gave up 8 children out
Yeah.
of her vagina. She didn't have C-sections. She birthed us all out of
Right.
her coochie, right? So that's been something I've talked to Miss Blue about for years.
Yeah.
And to have that experience for me, it was a moment of
Yeah.
saying you just can't go for anything.
Right.
And so what's out here, like the brother Dante is saying, like, yeah, you can't be, and I agree with you. That's for some people.
Right.
Everybody needs to know what is your limit based on your prehistoric ley line this lifetime.
Right.
I'm so big on that. Like,
Right.
I'm not into judging anybody, because I know people that do acid and they have really good lives making 6 figures.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No problem.
Absolutely.
I got a
Absolutely.
homeboy that does cocaine and he travels from Africa to Europe to this to that, and he's married to a man. No problem.
Right.
And I'm not here to judge, but I feel like, as and I will say this loosely, as a Celtic saying, as witches and warlocks, we need to know our lane, and you need to understand your lane so you could stick in your fucking lane. When you want to go into other people's lane, that's when the addiction shit comes in. So if for anybody that says this is my limit, and it make, like, for me, I have a reaction that happens. If something is brought into my center that is not for me, my heart beats, I go into complete tachycardia.
Right.
And it's a thing that's silent. I don't go into a panic attack, but I recognize I need to run and run fast, not because these people are fucked up and they're bad. It's because it's just not for me. And until I can communicate that in a boundary, a positive boundary setting place, I need to go ahead and remove myself.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that kind of like speaks to, you know, different cultures and everything. The way that I was brought up, like we had a culture, like my mom and my dad, you know, they were definite products of the 60s and the 70s, and they did a lot of getting high. But I didn't miss no meals. I was not abused. You know, I didn't go through a lot of changes that a lot of
part
who have faced the addictions and everything. I didn't see a lot of foolishness coming up. Make no mistake about it. But there has been some people that I have observed in my life that has definitely experienced some severe neglect in their years of growing up because the addiction had been so powerful. My mom, fortunately, was one of those people that even in the heart of when crack cocaine was king out there in them streets, she was still able to make sure that we had dinner on the table every day. The house was clean, laundry was done. She still ran the fucking household, and she figured out a way to make deals with the dope men in the neighborhood so that she could get high and still be able to handle her business and navigate that whole situation. She was a very clever woman. She was gangster out there in these streets. However, you know what I'm saying? With the whole culture and the lifestyle of drugs that I was exposed to, it has definitely shown me a lot of things that many children probably should not have seen within their younger years. However, fast forward, for what I was doing professionally when I worked in the social services, you know, my master's degree is in criminology. And one of the things that I was doing was writing a lot of programs and really directing a lot of social programs and initiatives that was out there, because didn't nobody know the struggle like I did. Like I got a front row seat for that shit, but I got a different perspective on drugs and alcohol than many people, because there's this abstain versus, you know what I'm saying, versus either you an addict or you totally don't do it. And I would beg to differ that there's a middle ground there. And I'm one of those people that I absolutely like to enjoy. I like to indulge. I like to party. And I also see the potential on how you could get yourself in a slippery slope. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to test the envelope too, just to see how far that shit will go. Also, you know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that we're in the commander's seat, because this is something that's so volatile. There's a lot of things out here in these streets that are volatile out here, but we also have to respect that everybody's perspective is different. And even while many people like me, I have no problem with talking about my very cracked childhood. You know what I'm saying? Because it was nothing. I survived it. I was not abused. I wasn't mistreated. You know, I saw a lot of people in their lower selves. I saw a lot of foolishness, a lot of fuckery out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? You can't get too much past me thanks to that type of fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? However, I just view the world a little bit differently than most people. And I don't necessarily see drugs as a bad thing. Me and my husband would debate all of the time, because I don't see a person being a drug dealer as a bad person. I see I mean, people who's down to kill folks and out here in these streets and everything. But I also see them, like Chris Rock said a long time ago, I ain't never sold nobody no fucking drugs, because people want drugs. People want to get high, and they end up being party favors. That's just like saying that the whole establishment of the beer distributors and the wine stores and all of that type of shit is all demonic. But what they do is they sell you things that you like to indulge in, and everything that's not good for you. Red meat, Pepsi Cola, McDonald's burgers. You know what I'm saying? All of these things are unhealthy for you. The detriment is a little bit different, but yet still is something that you're doing a disservice to the body. And so when we deal with those subjects, I know that it can be like a sore spot for some people. However, I need to, you know what I'm saying? I need to be in a place where I can at least be open and free about that, because my perspective is just so different and unique with that. That's what has made me, and that perspective has made me very successful by seeing things differently.
That's so, what you just said was a whole sermon, girl. You need to open the church and do it now.
Yeah.
Because Priestess, a lot of what you said, I understand the sentiment. Like,
yeah,
I just had to tell one of my white friends who's prominent, we're good, we're cool. But I'm like, she's talking to me about money. And she's like, do you understand? And I'm like, I come from hood money. Girl, that's nothing. Like, and my brother, he left this life off of that shit. Just because you have these means of being able to sell and buy the brick and buy the pound doesn't mean that the person is okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the person is still untouchable.
Absolutely.
And my brother, he took himself completely out of the game because he knew the only person that would drag him down was himself. And we just didn't have that parental guidance.
Right.
And for me, I was the only girl. I was taken in by my aunt, who's a female. She's like Cancer, female, okay? Like her zodiac is female all day, every day. And the protection she gave me, it makes it to where I'm proud to say, yeah, I come from hood money. Doesn't mean hood money, just like rich money, you won't kill yourself.
Right.
And I remember when Kate Spade, I don't know if you know who she is. She was a really big, she committed suicide.
Yep.
And it was like years after my brother died, and I cried for her. Yeah. And I thought I was crying for her, but I realized I was crying for my brother. My brother was 27 years old, and ironically, he passed away on his birthday, which is 11 days from today on March 27th. 24th, excuse me, it's about 8 days from today. It's March 24th he passed. And it was on his birthday. And it wasn't like I'm gonna sit here and kill myself. It was like on some, I'm going to be drunk and high on cocaine, whatever it is, because we party. I'm hood rich. I'm partying with my dad. I'm partying with the hood. I'm partying with the whole south side of Toledo, Ohio, right? But at the end of the day, when he went home, he had issues with not only his father, but just his livelihood. He felt like there was more that could be done. And it led to him picking up a gun that he didn't realize the safety was off.
Oh, God.
Because he was drunk as fuck. It was his birthday. Yeah. And my brother, who is I'm the third, he's the sixth born, saw our brother take his last life, his last breath. He tried to stop him. He's like, yo, bro, because they were cleaning the guns. Like I said, I come from hood money. Right. Niggas be cleaning guns and smoking joints and still figuring out a way out of the ghetto. And my brother lived in Savannah, Ohio, which in his neighborhood, he was the only Black person, let alone Black man. Okay. So, and then his children were the only Black children in their classrooms. He had 5 children. And to really see that happen to where his children are now left as these statistics, because of course, people wanting to live off of that, like you were saying, that hype.
Right.
That hype of what's really happening behind the scenes when it comes to spirituality, that I realized my brother was so spiritual.
Right.
And I don't even think he realized it, the stuff he instilled in like us. And it is a moment where it's like, no, everything tonight has been perfect.
Absolutely.
It has been
When we can embrace our
absolutely
humanity, that's
yeah,
where true spirituality begins to show.
exactly.
Is when we can bring. And I love how you say y'all was hood rich. I'm like, I was hood struggle. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know what
Which
I'm
it didn't mean that we didn't have the struggle. That
saying?
is the struggle.
Right.
Like when I say hood rich, I'm like, no, 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 no. My mother who married a man, he was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
Severely. It was a struggle. We
That's some
still had
fucked up
clothes on
shit.
our back.
Yeah, that's some, yeah.
We still went to good schools.
Yeah.
We still had our own bedrooms. We
Absolutely.
still lived a good life. We still had a vehicle. We still had a father. We still had certain things that in today's society, even if someone is afflicted with these addictions, they cannot sacrifice.
Right.
And that's for me where I was just telling my sister, we were talking about something with weed. And I said, no, I think that all Black, anybody with melanin, high doses of it, need to just stop, including myself. Because even for me, if I go ahead and smoke a bowl, I'm not falling asleep like I used to. I'm up like a fucking crackhead.
But
I'm
you know
like,
what? That's something that Dante was just talking about them genetically modifying the weed.
exactly. And guess what? I'm gonna send you all a picture, and you can send it to Dante. A friend of mine who is Caucasian. She's like, "Hi, amazing hippie. I love her." She gave me some medical marijuana and was like, "Yeah, sure, hey, girl." And I was like, it's okay," because I'm one of those moms. If I'm out with my children, I don't need to drink and I don't need to smoke. I'm with my children.
Right.
Anything can happen. I don't care what setting we're in. That's how I know I'm not an addict because I don't need to right now. And so she's like, "Oh, take this home." And I got home, no lie, Dante, and Priestess Shakesha, no lie. I sit down on my couch and I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to roll up. This is good. Maybe I'll just even roll up tonight." And I look and the shit says marijuana smoke has carcinogens in it. And I'm like, what the fuck? When did this start happening?
No.
And then I'll look at the other label and it says cherry pie hybrid in all caps.
Right.
And I'm like, that's the problem. It's hybrid. It's no, and not to be any coy because women who cannot have children, my heart goes to you. But this is no different than a woman that says, "Oh, I had a baby, but you had yours vaginally, whether it was C-section or vaginally, but I had my child IVF. We have the same child." No, we don't. We don't. There's 6 different carcinogens that are in both realities. It doesn't mean that one of us is excluded from it. You have a higher carcinogen rate because you had IVF and your body isn't recognizing that there's a baby inside of you. So you have to have medicine put in your hip to make the body, to force the body into knowing that this is real. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, we're getting IVF weed. And I remember I laughed about it. I was like, this is insane. When did weed become a carcinogen?
Well, you know what? Anytime you light something up, see, that's the other thing. I remember Dr. Africa used to speak to that. And he was talking about how it's better for us to deal with weed and edibles. I stopped smoking that shit. I'll get a vaporizer or something like that.
Well, I've
I
been
stopped
making it
smoking
in
that
like
shit.
brownies. Yeah, no, I
Right.
make it in like my granola or some
Right.
teas.
It fucks
But
with my
even
respiratory system. But
this cartilages said even anything heated is a carcinogen. And
yeah,
that was weird for me
absolutely.
because I'm like, I'm
Right.
used to taking my bud and putting it in a tea and
Right.
steeping it. And I'm good.
Can you, I thought that you need for the weed to attach to fat. What do you put some coconut oil in there or something to
No,
bring it out?
okay. So that's where I've been doing like some research. The
Okay.
way that they are chemistry wise, the way they are conducting this new hybrid, it does bind to people's melanocytes.
Oh,
Melanocytes.
because see, my understanding of hybrid was them taking the indica, which makes
and
you
yes, and mixing them,
and
yes,
sativa together and blending
yes.
them together and making hybrid.
No, pause for the cause.
Shit.
I'm like, yes, pause for the cause. When I read this little, and when I tell you it was like a whole 3 sentences in small print on the back, I was like, this is something deep. Wow. And literally it says that it's a carcinogen regardless.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
so
go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother. Go. I would love to hear you.
no, I was just gonna add on that it started out because I'm in San Francisco. This is a major city, the biggest major city, which close to what is called Humboldt County. Okay. Humboldt County is like where they grow wine too, like the grapes for wine. It's just farmland, endless farmland, and there was all types of weed, like all farms and jungles of weed out there. So it started as, you know, and all that to say we get the best weed. So it started as hybrid, did mean indica and sativa. They started it like that, and that was true. But that was a spell to put on your mind to make you. So now when they put in hybrid there, you think they talking about is just indica mixed with sativa, but they not talking about that. Now it's like they changed what they mean by it. So it started off as indica and sativa, so it's a hybrid, but now it is a genetic hybrid because it's not the same. Check this out. This is where I give people, I run down a list of things that weed does. When you smoke, when you break down weed, real weed, your fingers will stick together.
Right.
Yeah, crickets. I don't hear nothing. That's remember Snoop in that song said, "Sticky icky icky." Ooh,
yeah, weed. I remember when I used to break that shit up and it would be all stuck on my
okay. Thank you. Okay, when that doesn't happen anymore. You know, I used to have to wash my hands after I broke my weed down. You used to be able to stick a bud of weed on your windshield in your car and drive around, and the weed will be stuck to your windshield inside the car.
Right there on the dashboard. Yeah.
that is marijuana. This shit they got going now, and that's why it's legal because they perverted it, and they perverted it. It's a double-edged sword. Like they get you 2 times. They perverted it because they don't want you to tap into anything spiritual. So it does have spiritual significance to weed, but weed started out what I heard through someone who channeled it. They said they spoke to weed. So this person said, weed said you guys are disrespecting her, basically, because you're just smoking just to laugh and shit. And oh, let's go do something funny and let's smoke weed. Let's get high. Ah ha ha, and eat hella food and act like a pig. She said, I'm gonna take something from you since you're taking everything from me. And she said she's taking your memory from you. So weed is alive. So weed is active and aware of what's happening. So since we was bullshitting and just getting high, not doing nothing spiritual, just smoking it just to smoke it, the response was, now you forgetting all the time. Now it enabled and opened the door for them to manipulate the weed how they're doing it because it's like they make you beg to make it legal so you can stop getting fucked with by cops. Then they control every aspect of the legal weed.
Yeah.
We used to give you what is called cotton mouth.
Yup.
Huh?
Yup.
When the last time you seen cotton mouth?
Hell no.
I used to spit and my spit will be completely white.
Why?
Hold on. Time out. When is the last time you smoked weed and your eyes got super tight and super red?
A long time, bro.
Where's that at? When's the last time you had 1 gram of weed and then you walked in a room and everybody looked around like, who got that? And you had 1 gram.
Right.
Or you had half a blunt. Now I could walk past you with an ounce and you don't even know I got weed on me. Like, that's not weed. Huh? Nigga, you got an ounce? And you standing right next to me?
What about this Delta 8, Delta 9 stuff that they're making the derivative of CBD? Because we have medical marijuana legal here in Pennsylvania, right? But we don't have, but the Delta 8 is legal. And so now we're getting a lot of these little cannabis shops that are coming up that are selling the CBD, and then they're selling the Delta 8. And from what they're telling me now, I done tried the Delta 8, it's all right, but I'm not getting that cottonmouth effect like you were just talking about and everything. So
right, you don't get the munchies, you don't do shit. Like you said, it used to knock you out, make you go to sleep. Right. Now you can be, or not like you said, but now you can be wide awake after smoking weed. You're smoking a backwood out here, a big ass backwood that ain't even supposed to be smoked like that, but you're stuffing this fat ass backwood with 1.5 grams or 2 grams and smoking that. With a nigga, we used to share one joint and be gone. How you smoking a big ass backwood and you just talking to me normal? You going back to work in 5 minutes? Like, what the fuck is, nigga, that's not weed. The weed I smoked, I would never do some of this shit. You know what I'm saying? I was scared to drive high.
I'm going to tell you something. I think that there was something that was done to the weed, because I remember a long time ago when my son was living here, and he was in the back and he was smoking some weed. He left like a little half of a blunt in the ashtray in the back. And I picked it up. Well, what's this? Let me check this out. I took 2 pulls off of that shit and could not get up off of the couch. So now I don't mess with these kids' weed no more. I don't fuck around with that shit no more. Now, I don't know for sure. It's different. It's different.
It's chemicals. It's chemicals. That's all it is. It's chemicals.
It's straight different. I know I was on my ass. And so now I got a healthy respect for shit. And so now I've been using like the Delta 8 shits that they got here that's available, because that's more in my lane where I'm not all faded, blasted, and hied up. But I attributed the kids being able to smoke blunt is their tolerance has just been lifted up. You know?
Nope. You know why I would disagree on that one? You want to know why? Because when I first started smoking weed, I'm in a hippie city. This is where the peace and love and people. I'm in that city.
And friends,
the people, right? So the people who were selling me weed had been smoking 20 years already.
Right.
They looked high as fuck. They were laughing and, hey, dude, come try some of this. They were still high as fuck when I first started smoking weed.
Wow.
They not like that no more. And they were smoking 20 years, let's say. Like, I understand the tolerance thing, but it's not that. Like, that's a way. Hella shit is coming into my head. CBD, like, why is that even being emphasized? Like THC, that's all you think about when you think of weed. THC. So what the fuck is CBD? Like, what is that? Oh yeah, it's part of the weed that has pain killing properties of this. That was never a thing though. Like how they making it. Like, oh, this got CBD. How much CBD that one got? Nigga, you're chasing the wrong thing. You're chasing the sedative, mild sedative effect of weed. You're not trying to get high. So they manipulate you. Man, it's fucked up. It's sinister and active. And the last little thing I wanted to say was it's also a trick, because though you can get addicted to weed because you have good times with it and it releases dopamine. So that's how you get addicted to anything, is because you train your brain that this gives me dopamine and I like it. Right. So when they perverted the weed, I call it perverted. Like, you got molested fucking weed. Right. When they did that, oh, I just lost my train of thought. When they did that, right?
Right.
They knew that they wasn't going to be able to control it when this consciousness does what it's doing right now. The whole energy of the planet is going up. So everybody's trying to find answers. So they knew, the powers that be knew, that they're not going to be able to control this shit around 2012, 2013. It's going to start becoming uncontrollable. So they said, we're going to make them vote to legalize it. Then we're going to tax it. Then we're going to manipulate it. Okay, now people like me was, and I'm not doing it anymore, trying to find some good weed because I know what good weed feels like. The whole time I'm trying to do that, life is happening and spiritual things are happening all around me. But I have trained myself to look for it in weed. So now they trained you to be dependent on something that they're hiding from you. Meanwhile, time is ticking.
Right.
If you get where I'm saying, this is sinister how they
Right.
did that. So now you, and then if you do find some real weed right now, your body can get you. Just meditation and eating properly and doing regular spiritual work can get you higher than weed.
Yep.
So while they got you chasing something that you have to take from outside of your body to bring it inside to have an experience, you've been manipulated because now you're not trying to do the natural, all natural way. So they just played you to make you look for something that they're giving to you that they're also hiding from you. So fucking shit. I'm sorry, I got a little passion about that because I hate
Yeah.
feeling manipulated, and they
Yeah.
manipulated everybody in the masses. Like I used to lose track of time off weed. Like what time is it? None of this shit happens.
Yup. Yup.
People used to smoke weed because they had cancer to help them get an appetite.
Yup.
So now they got a label telling you this has carcinogens or contains harmful substances known to the state of California to cause, you know, birth defects and impotence and whatever else.
That's some fuck.
That how did that get there?
Right.
You can't get around it. So I'm gonna stop talking about weed because it
Hey,
made me
listen,
mad.
right, right, because we can go all day talking about some weed now. But listen, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close this cipher out because we have been at this for quite some time. But I do want to thank you for having a very real discussion at this particular time, because one of the things that we don't like dealing with in the spiritual community is real shit like this, like us being involved in this mundane business we call drugs and alcohol. And these are all things that we cling to in order to find relief in this life, in all of our experiences that we've had and everything. And we get so used to using that as our go-to for relief and everything. But then somebody will tell us we wrong for that shit. And it doesn't mean necessarily that we wrong. It may not be the most productive way of going about trying to navigate these streets, but it definitely don't make you a bad person. You ain't wrong for that. The shit you do in the name of that shit is what make you wrong. If you feel compelled to rob your grandma so you can get high, you wrong for that. If you like the priestess was on here, you giving up all your babies and shit so that you can run the street getting high, you done made a wrong turn back there somewhere. But where I'm talking about is everyday Joe Blows like me with the spirit of adventure and trying those things. And many of us individuals that are spiritual, that spend a lot of time thinking about possibilities, you know what I'm saying, are open to trying new experiences with our consciousness. And that usually happens through drugs and alcohol. So I really do thank you, Brother Dante. You always come in here dropping fire. When you got something to say, you got something to say, brother. And I do appreciate your energy, your time. I love you so much, brother. I really do. And I will definitely be in touch. And we'll check you out. If you're available next week, see you next week.
You know I'm gonna pop up.
All right. Peace and light. Peace and love.
Have a good night. Peace
You
out.
too.
Peace and love and all that good stuff.
Word. Peace.